Hey there, I'm Ian Douglas. I'm the author of the website techinterview.guide, and I'm here to help people with career advancement and interview preparation. My live stream on Twitch covers topics such as company research, how to build resumes and cover letters, applying for the job, getting through interviews, and what to do during negotiations. I've coached thousands and thousands of people over the years to get jobs at the biggest tech companies in the industry, and I'm here to help you too. The following episode is taken from a longer live stream event and may contain interactions with other people in chat. Check out the end of the episode for more information. Let's get to it. Question here. So this question was basically saying, hey, job searching, it typically entails several rounds of interviews, followed by lots of waiting periods, and it can be a really long process to actually go through between applying and going through the interviews and then waiting for the offer. Do I think that job seekers should get paid for interviews? I think the answer to this is a little bit nuanced. Should you get paid for the time that it takes to actually interview? I would say if you're working, like if they really want you to build like a take-home assignment and that's going to take many hours, I think you should get paid for that time. I think that would be a fantastic way to treat a candidate, that even if they don't get hired, if you've screened them well enough to the point where you want them to do a take-home assignment, then I think it's a great move and builds a lot of goodwill from the company to say, hey, we recognize this is going to take some time. We'll pay you, a couple $100 to go build that project, and then we'll evaluate it from there. Now, if you make really garbage code, then you're not going to get forward in the interview process anyway. But I think just to get paid for the overall process of, every time I interview with you, I'm on the clock and I'm going to do the equivalent of bill you for my time kind of thing. Like every interview, I hope to get like $50. Most companies aren't going to do that. It already costs them an enormous amount of money to screen people and actually do the interviews and things like that. So just watching you work your way through a technical challenge, no, I don't think companies should pay you for that. But I think where they could pay people would be on the idea of doing these big extended take-home assignments. So similar to another question I've answered recently about, do I have to go build another whole big project? If there's something very specific that company wants you to build to demonstrate your skill, you could ask and say, hey, this is going to take X amount of hours. Is it possible to get some sort of reimbursement for my time in order to do that? Some companies will be open to the conversation. Some of them won't. Some of them will say, no, we don't pay our candidates. But there are companies out there who will pay candidates to do their interviews. Now, I wouldn't try to make that a source of income by any means. Don't go seek out those companies just to work through their interview process on the side to try to generate a side hustle, because there aren't that many companies to begin with. But there are companies out there who will pay you for your time if you're doing the take-home assignment, because they know it's going to take a while. There's one company in Boulder, Colorado, near where I live, that I don't know if they still do this, but several years ago, they got kind of a bad rap in our kind of localized tech community by giving you a take-home assignment and say, we're going to give you a month to build out this assignment. So you don't necessarily have to build it all in one shot. You'll have plenty of time. You'll have many weeks to go through and actually build this assignment. The downside is they said, our expectation is that you're going to spend upwards of 40 hours building this project. It's I'm not going to spend 40 hours. Unless your company's really, really amazing and you're paying top dollar salary, I'm not spending 40 hours building a project from scratch. And it was unpaid. It's if you'll pay me for those 40 hours, that's a little bit different, because then we can work out what my salary is going to be and I can figure out what that 40 hours is actually worth. But that 40-hour time commitment, even spread out over a month, is a couple of hours a day. And nobody's going to spend that kind of time for free. So I think if a company has an expectation that you're going to build something of size and of value to their overall interview process, yes, I think companies should offer some kind of reimbursement. Not that you get guaranteed an interview, because that's not reimbursement, but say, we expect this project to take more than 8 hours, so we're going to pay you a day of wage or something like that. It doesn't have to be tons and tons of money. But don't say oh, we'll send you a t-shirt if you do it. That doesn't mean much to people. Offering them actual tangible, we're going to send you a code or something to redeem for a gift card of your choice for $100 or $150, $200. It doesn't have to be a huge amount of money. Because if you've gone through enough screening process to think, hey, I think Ian could actually like do this job. Let's give Ian that take-home assignment, and then we'll evaluate that code when it comes in, and we'll wrap up the interviews. So I think if you do it at the end of your interview process, you've already screened out the people that you don't think could do the job. And you've probably already screened out the people that aren't as interested in working at your company at that point. When I worked at SendGrid, we used to do that take-home assignment as one of the initial intakes and say, let's get you on the phone, we'll do a phone screen, and if that worked out, we gave you a take-home. And then we built the rest of the interview around that take-home assignment. The problem with that is if we were to pay everybody that did the take-home assignment, we would end up paying way more people than the people that actually made it to the final rounds. And so as an interviewer, as a hiring manager, I would have to really think about like, where do I put in that paid assignment where we're actually going to pay out cash to get some kind of return on that investment. Like we want to make sure that we're weeding out the people that aren't early enough in the process that we don't expect that they're going to finish the assignment or they're not going to do well on the assignment. I would want to see a little bit of code demonstrated and a little bit of skill demonstrated before I give you that take-home assignment. And then say, do like a git commit kind of history. Like we want to see the git commit messages of when you worked on things and how you sort of built out the code. That would be far better for me as a hiring manager, but that would have to be later in the process. And then at that point, because it's later in the process, pay the candidate for it. Most companies, though, are not going to pay for your time. You can ask. Again, the worst they'll say is no. I don't, unless you're being really rude or really arrogant about it, this isn't worth my time and I'm not going to do this unless you pay me X dollars, to be like, fine, then don't do it. And they'll just withdraw you as a candidate at that point. So you don't want to do it from a place of disrespect. But if you ask respectfully and say, hey, I'm actively interviewing with a number of other companies, building this whole thing from scratch, I'm expecting to take 10 to 20 hours. If that's your expectation of time commitment from me to go build this, can we talk about reimbursement for my time to actually go build this? Because it's taking away from other things that I could be doing. It's going to take me away from interviewing. It's going to take me away from maybe your regular job. You can ask respectfully. Again, the worst they'll say is no, but it really depends on at what stage in that process they're giving you that take home. If they're doing it as a screening technique, they'll probably say no. So if it's really early in the process, they'll probably say no. If it's later in the process, they might be more likely to say yes. And you could also word that message like, I've demonstrated up until now that I can do the job. I'm happy to work on this take-home assignment, but because it's going to take time away from other things, are you open to the idea of compensation of X dollars in order for me to do this, or do you have some sort of compensation in mind? Again, the worst they'll say is no, but you might get surprised. They might be open to that conversation if it's later on in that process. Thanks for checking that out. I hope that you found it helpful. I always appreciate feedback, so please let me know what you think. I appreciate any subscriptions, so please tell your friends and colleagues about it as well. Check out the website techinterview.guide for more information about when I'm live streaming and all of my free content. Drop by a live stream anytime to ask questions or message me privately, whatever makes you most comfortable. See you next time.